Tina Renna, Cranford, New Jersey. Is it working? Through you, Chairman, Freeholder Homes, that resolution was 2007-500. That might save the clerk a little bit of work. God knows I wear her out. It's rare to see the honesty and openness at these meetings that Freeholder Daniel Sullivan displayed at the last meeting when he described the county payroll. His exact words he used to describe people who do work for Union County government were the gravy train. Sullivan was very passionate about this gravy train description, and that was stunning coming from an elected official who himself has a state job and at least a brother, a daughter, a son, and a niece on the county payroll. And another brother works for the city of Elizabeth. So Freeholder Daniel Sullivan believes his family is on a gravy train because they work for Union County government. How sad for the taxpayers, especially the ones who are struggling to pay their property tax bills. Sullivan has the most relatives on the county payroll than any of you. Maybe if Daniel Sullivan attempts to discredit my facts, he could let us know how many cousins he has on the payroll. Because you see, the Union County Watchdog Association did a study and found that 542 county employees had the same surnames as elected Democrat officials out of about 3,000 employees total. We can't prove that all these people are related, but we can say that we have no way of knowing how many county employees have different surnames but are connected to elected Democrat officials, such as cousins, in-laws, etc. For instance, the appointed county manager, George Devaney, is Senator Raymond Lesniak's nephew, and Devaney's mother-in-law is currently on the county payroll, and her surname is Bowen. She joined the payroll a few years ago. She started as Assemblywoman Linda Stender's assistant at Rennas Hospital. Linda Stender, before she became an Assemblywoman and joined the county payroll at Rennas Hospital, she was a Union County freeholder, and during her time as a freeholder, her husband's printing business was given printing contracts. This included printing of the Union County Alliance newsletter. The Alliance has claimed to be a 501c3 organization independent from the county, therefore the public cannot have access to their documents. We have no way of knowing if Linda Stender's husband is still getting printing contracts from the Alliance. And at the last freeholder meeting, Freeholder Sullivan went into your back room there and came out with Union County Alliance documents and claimed that they were Union County contracts. Freeholder Sullivan believes that the Alliance and the county are one and the same. How did Linda Stender, as a sitting freeholder, steer contracts to her husband's business? Why isn't the public allowed access to the Alliance documents if they're in this building, in your back room? Perhaps these are questions for the Attorney General's offices to look into. Linda Stender's husband received at least 2 printing contracts to print the Alliance newsletter, and he charged $20,000 more for each than the next lowest bidder. He may very well still be printing for the Alliance, we just can't know. But apparently those documents are in your back room. The Attorney General's office really needs to shine a light on this. We're just mere citizens trying to stand up to this machine here. I mentioned earlier you recently gave Virginia Finelli's attorneys another $400,000. By my calculations, this employee lawsuit, which was proven in a court of law to be a petty harassment of an outstanding county employee, as Virginia Finelli was a decorated sheriff's officer, this cost taxpayers just under $3 million. I'm not sure if that's the end of it. I think it is. I don't know if there's any more bills outstanding, but that's phenomenal. And another thing about this $50,000 piece is you're asking people to cut down on paper consumption, and you mailed out 200,000 of these. Thank you.
Nancy Pewar, 1129 Myrtle Avenue, Plainfield. I came here to thank Freeholder Kowalski for coming down to the State Health Planning Board and testifying on behalf of Muhlenberg Hospital and one of the Muhlenberg Hospital activists. I also want to thank Freeholder Proctor for the article that he wrote in the Westfield Leader.
I don't know why I waste my breath with Mrs. Renna, but I don't want to let anything go unresponded to. But there's a definition of people like her, and it's called hypocrite. And hypocrites are the people who, like she did, took money because her husband got her the job, and then when the money stopped, she became a critic of the so-called evil empire. I know you can't look at me, but I'll keep talking. No, you can't, because you had your chance, and now I have mine.
5 minutes.
I had mine.
5 minutes is not a chance.
And you know what? You're not going to
be attacked after I make public comment.
You're not going to get thrown out.
How many cousins do you have on the payroll? Do you want to answer that?
Sit down and listen to me.
You're not my father. Sit down and listen to.
No,
If you're
your
going to
father's
attack me,
your
I'm going to stand here.
I'm right there. I don't care.
I did not work for Union County government. It was the Union County Alliance. If I worked for the Union County government, then so did Freeholder Stender's husband, who was running for Congress.
Took money.
I did a job for the Union County Alliance. I didn't take money. I performed a job. It was a project, and I performed it. The money didn't stop. I didn't take money. I performed a job on a project. One project that I didn't want to do, just that no one else was stepping up to do it. You had no one competent working on that project.
You had your husband working on it. Your
He
husband.
wasn't the manager of the project. You could care less if I sue you, do you? Because it's the taxpayers that'll have to pick up the bill. You could care less about lawsuits. Could care less about lawsuits.
You're out of order. Just ask her to sit down.
I'm not going to sit down if you're going to harass me this way. I'm a citizen of the United States of America before I am a citizen of this Lesniakville.
Yeah. The rules apply to everyone, everyone here in the room but you. So watch her. Sir.
Renna, you need to sit down and please. We've heard you before, all your allegations. Now it's time to hear other side of the story.
I have facts, not allegations.
Allegations. Yes, they're all allegations.
Freeholder Sullivan is making allegations. He is making allegations. I have facts.
Allegations?
Have a seat,
These
ma'am.
aren't allegations. The truth hurts.
It's your opinion. It isn't the truth.
You
That's why a lawsuit was set up for $400,000. That was the truth. I'm being thrown out. I'm being thrown out because I can't defend myself.
That's what she wants.
Am I being arrested?
That's what she wants.
Am I being arrested? I'm being thrown out.
I ask you to please
Have a
take your
seat.
seat.
Have a seat. We listen to you. Now you listen to me.
Citizens can't allow themselves to be abused this way. It cannot be allowed. I'm a citizen of the United States of America. Who are you?
Sit down.
Yeah, this is your representative, Bruce.
This is Renna. If you can.
Well, the rules are for everybody else. The rules are for everybody else but you. Mr. Patterson, this gentleman here, everyone else here spoke, and we listened. You think the rules don't apply to you. The rules don't apply to you.
Do me a favor, officer. Will you
You want to talk about my son who was nearly killed? Is that what you want to do? You want to talk about him? You want to talk about him? You want to talk about him? Let's face it. Let's face it, Tina. All you are is a paid operative of the Republican Party. You get paid by the Republicans because they're afraid to come here, and you do the dirty work. Yeah, oh, yeah. Exactly. 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 As soon as you stop getting money...
Officer, would you please escort her out of the room, please? I'm having you escorted out of the room.
See ya. See ya.
Mrs. Renna,
Man, we lead the revolution.
I'll need some volunteers.
I'm not yelling. I'm going to
All
say
right,
that.
folks. Goodbye.
Yeah, I'll be here.
All right, folks.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to get into it, but
Finish your comments.
I hope people see this on television or the people see here. And I apologize if anybody's upset. But here's the point. People come here, and there are a set of rules. And everybody else, everybody in this room who spoke tonight obeyed those rules. Whether you're saying something complimentary or critical, as many people did. Everybody has an opportunity here to speak. And then we get an opportunity to speak. And the point of the matter is, we're allowed to defend ourselves, and we're allowed to have our opinions, just like everyone else in this room. That's the American way. Not grabbing the microphone and making speeches and trying to dominate the combination and accusing us of all types of things here. All types of things. My brother worked for the county from the mid-'80s, somewhere along there. My son paid his own way to go through the police academy and was nearly killed in Union 3 years ago. Nearly killed. He almost nearly had a bullet in his head. And I have to listen to this garbage from this woman. I will not tolerate it. We will not tolerate it. If we're right, we're right. If we're wrong, we're wrong. We can listen to criticism. Anybody can come here and criticize us all they want. That's the American way. But we have an opportunity to speak. We have opinions as well. We're elected officials. We're entitled to that, just the way you are entitled, everybody here. And anybody who's watching it on TV, I think, would say the same thing. And I'm sorry to get upset, and I'm sorry to start this, but I'm not going to sit here, and we're not going to sit here and get attacked without responding. We get criticized for saying here, we sit here like lumps on a log. I've heard that many times. So when you say something, then people can't take it. And the fact of the matter is, she took money, and when the money stopped, that's when she became a critic. That is the fact. You want to talk facts? That is the fact. Okay. No, that is the fact. Let's not get into it. All right? I'm sorry for taking so much time, and I appreciate the time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Sorry to cause you so much trouble.
Okay. Freeholder Scout.
And it's a shame to me to see on a regular basis one particular individual, Mrs. Renna, come and give her side of the story, give her innuendo, her half-truths, her emphasis on certain parts of the situation, and then for some reason either leaves before there's a response or has herself thrown out, which you obviously saw tonight. I respect Freeholder Sullivan for many times representing the views of this board, and he certainly takes a lashing and accepts it willingly, obviously, because he's standing up for his rights and the rights of this board, to give our point of view as elected officials and as residents here. So it's a shame that so many times there's this half-heartedness to explain a situation, and that I think, and I said it I guess last time this erupted on some level, that's the frustrating thing for me, is sitting up here accepting the comments, and obviously we had both positive comments tonight and some things that weren't so positive, at least far as our decisions are made or some of the direction of the county, and we try to sit up here and accept both positive and negative the right way, and listen, at least give the respect to listen. Not many people hold it so personal and become so personal with members of this freeholder board. The county manager, for sure, has taken his abuse and sits here, and that's when I think it becomes more frustrating to me, is when it becomes so personal. These are issues to be debated. Not everybody's going to agree with our direction. I found out a long time ago in politics that everybody's not going to agree with you on every single thing you decide, and that's the way it is. We accept the criticism. We know there's a contrary point of view, but it's a shame that Mrs. Renna, typically isn't here by her own volition to leave or by getting herself thrown out of the meeting. And to me, that's frustrating, because I think we'd like to help educate her and explain to her our perspective and point of view. So that's I guess what I have to say about that.
brochures and criticize the county for mailings and things that the county does to promote our programs or to communicate with the electorate. You know, but there was a time that that was okay with her. It just so happened that that time was when her husband was on the payroll to do that, when her husband's brother worked for the county, and when Ms. Renna herself had a contract with the Alliance to help promote the county. She further went on to talk about that the newsletter was done by people who were incompetent. And during that timeline, that's when her husband did it, and that's when she did the ad sales, and that's when the newsletter lost $20,000. I have to agree with her. She's right. There was incompetence when it came to the production of that Alliance newsletter. Ultimately, it led to her husband abandoning his job. He abandoned his job. That was why he was terminated. And because he abandoned his job, you know, she likes to talk about lawsuits. You never hear about the money that was wasted. I believe, Norm, I'll ask you maybe later on to go through them. I think it was 7 lawsuits. And I want to be factual because she likes to state the facts. Six different lawsuits, of which she lost 5, where her husband lost 5 out of 6 of those lawsuits, where taxpayer dollars were spent. You know, and maybe, Norm, let me tell you, I don't want to get into the lawsuits,
okay.
But you know,
Well,
I just find it frustrating.
I'd like to discuss what can be discussed about lawsuits and specific lawsuits. Often, when citizens come forward and addresses pending litigation, either Mr. Barry or myself will advise the board, you can't comment, it's pending litigation. There is no pending litigation with Joseph Renna. All the litigation is over. He instituted a number of lawsuits against the county. Ms. Renna represented at the last freeholder meeting that her husband won all his lawsuits and that the county spent $400,000 in legal fees defending those lawsuits. Those are 2 things she said that are patently untrue. So I'm going to state facts about litigation that's no longer pending. Joe Renna was an employee of the county, and he brought a proposal forward to a county planning group to redo a newsletter, a joint publication of Union County and the Union County Alliance. He proposed to expand the newsletter with ad sales. He sold the planning group on the proposal, but he was given approval to go forward only if it could break even or make money. He refused to cooperate with the project director. The project was late and lost $23,000. Excuse me.
All right. Okay.
I don't care if I get thrown out of office, but I'm listening. You guys keep telling I've heard about half you. I'm listening to the same stuff from you guys. Stop pissing me
Sir,
off.
it's unnecessary to do that,
Throw
sir.
me out.
You're asking to go, please have a seat.
Sit down.
Have a seat. Have a seat.
You guys are accusing her of all these half truths. I'm not going to say whether that's right or wrong, but now I'm listening
Please
to the same
have a
stuff from
seat.
you guys, and that pisses me off.
Mr. Patterson, have a seat, sir. Thank you.
I suggest you don't talk about her anymore.
Fail to promote.
I'm sorry.
Fail to.
No, don't even talk
Mr.
about
Patterson,
it anymore.
Mr. Patterson, we can talk about anything we want. We heard all your comments this evening. Now it's time to listen. Mr.
Delays
She's not
caused.
here. Well, too bad. She could have been nice enough to be here.
Delays caused by Renna's negligence significantly delayed the project completion. Renna hired his wife for a position without informing the county and raised the commission she earned to 15%. He appealed a 45-day discipline that was given him by the county, and he was successful in reducing that suspension to nothing. He sued the county thereafter for failing to give him a raise of $3,000. Case was dismissed by Judge Beglin, who found that County Manager Devaney's testimony was truthful, and that quoting Judge Beglin, I cannot find from this evidence that the ultimate evaluation of Mr. Renna received from Mr. Devaney was the result of retribution, retaliation, malice, ill will, anything of that nature, end quote. That case was dismissed. He also sued 3 county employees and George Devaney again. The essence of the complaint was, while testifying at the aforementioned administrative hearing, they provided false testimony, committed libel and slander. That case was also dismissed by the Superior Court of New Jersey. He received a 3-day suspension while employed by the county and challenged it. He left the hospital after lunch and never returned. When he was confronted by a supervisor at the hearing, he admitted his conduct. He received a 15-day suspension for incompetency, inefficiency, and failure to perform duties in January of 2004. He fought that suspension. And he lost. He was sent for a fitness for duty exam in 2004, and he was found fit to perform his duties. He refused to came to work and was terminated for abandoning his position. Prior to termination in 2004, he'd been given a last chance as long as he returned to work by January 7. He refused to do so, and he was terminated for abandoning his position. At 6 litigations, he's arguably 1 for 6. The amount of legal fees that the county paid in defending these litigations was $125,000. Thank you, Chairman.